What it do? What it do? Welcome to the GemStone Podcast. We're glad to have you here with us again. It's your co-host Zack, aka Durst. I got my boy with me, LP, today, and we got some stuff coming to y'all today. Some juicy things right now. I got one that's really close to me and dear to my heart because I am. If you do know me, you know I'm an LSU fan and currently an LSU student, soon to be alumni. And I want to talk about the Kyron Lacy trial. Now, I ain't talked about this trial since it happened because it was never finalized and the details of what happened in the trial never came out. So I'm gonna give y'all like a little brief timeline run through of everything that's happened in this timeline and a little something about Kyron Lacy. So Kyron Lacy was a wide receiver that played for Louisiana State University. He was born December 27, 2000. Excuse me. His final season was 2020. It was 2024, where he made 58 catches, 866 yards, and was tied for the SEC lead in touchdowns receptions. And he was number 2 in the SEC conference. He was on the second team in the SEC conference. Excuse me, right there. So Lacy was getting ready to go to the draft. He was one of those star players for the LSU team at that time frame where he was going to make it to the NFL, without a doubt. It was just a question on how high was he going to go or how low was he going to be. But he was definitely going to make it on the NFL team, without a doubt. In the situation with him, it goes to December 7th, allegedly involved in a chain reaction collision that occurred in Louisiana Highway 20 near Perez Lane in Lafourche Parish. The crash killed a 78-year-old passenger that was driving a 2017 Kia Sorento after being transported to the hospital. According to the Louisiana State Police, the sequence allegedly is Lacy's car, a Dodge Charger, was traveling south and recklessly attempting to pass multiple vehicles by crossing into the northbound lane, a no passing lane. And the result of this resulted in a northbound pickup braked and swerved to avoid Lacy's car. Behind that, a 2017 Kia Cadenza swerved left to avoid the collision, crossed the center lane, colliding head-on with the Sorento, in which Hall was the passenger, was badly injured and was killed on the scene when he was driving. Well, he was killed heading towards the hospital. Louisiana State Police says Lacy then drove past the crash site and fled the scene without rendering aid, calling authorities or properly stopping. This happened December 17th. Timeline in this, and I'll tell you how Lacy was a good player. December 19th, Kyron Lacy declared for the NFL draft. Come January 10th, Louisiana State Police obtained an arrest warrant for Lacy under charges that included negligence, homicide, felony hit and run with death, reckless operation of a vehicle. Lacy turned himself in on January 12th to cooperate with the authorities, and he was booked. He was released on the bond that same day with the total bail charges was set at $151,000. Between January to April, the case was under investigation and grand jury was to hear the evidence in April. The defense team began distributing state police claims, arguing that Lacy was not the proximate cause of the crash, and that the other vehicles might have crossed lanes that caused the collision. In 2025, lawyers began introducing video and data evidence that claimed Lacy was behind the crash at the time of the impact, not directly involved. April 12th was the death of Kyron Lacy. According to authorities, earlier that evening, Lacy got into an argument with family members in Houston. During that, he allegedly fired his gun into the ground. Relatives called the police. Deputies attempted to stop a traffic stop. Lacy fled, leading into a pursuit that lasted several miles. The chase ended with Lacy's vehicles crashed. It ended up actually crashing in Spring, Texas. When deputies removed him, he was discovered with self-inflicted gunshot wound and was pronounced dead at the scene. A firearm was recovered in the car. Authorities stated that the body cam and the dash cam footage showed no gunshots after the pursuit ended, supporting the belief that he was self-inflicted. He had a self-inflicted wound prior to the moment of the crash, prior to the crash or at the moment of the crash. In April 12th, 2025, Lacy attorney Matt Ory has strongly asserted that Lacy did not cause the crash. He claims surveillance footage and vehicle telematics placed Lacey's car 72.6 yards behind the accident at the point of impact. 2.6 yards, y'all. That's almost a football field behind. Now, I understand when you're going at extremely fast speed, 72 yards is not that much when you're trying to hit the brakes for an accident, but you're a pretty good distance away to have time to stop. I think we can all know that. That's what made me have to look up the rule book for the distance to stop without skidding and everything. But back to the timeline. Ori also claimed the law enforcement mischaracterized Lacey's involvement in prematurely painting him as the cause. As of now, because of Lacey has passed away, the criminal case has not proceeded through trial, and many questions about the case remain unresolved in court. The media and the public debate continues about whether Lacey was wrongfully portrayed, whether investigation shortcuts or bias played a role in the tragedy of his death. Hearing that makes me wonder, LP, has the person that caused the wreck been apprehended? Has the person that caused this wreck been even looked at? Or is the case just cold and you just painted this man as the killer and nobody else was what's the word I'm looking for here? A suspect. Was it only one suspect this whole time?
I'm just letting you go before I can go on my rampage.
It just makes you think when you hear that. Now, October 3rd, 2025 came out just recently, where the video evidence that Lacey's attorney was talking about shows Kyron Lacey's vehicle. You see the wreck happen in the surveillance video, and then you see Kyron Lacey, which you can't miss. There was a lime green Charger pull up on the incident, and you see him drive around. You see him maneuver out of the way of the wreck, get back into his lane, and continue on where he was going. Man, I don't know how you blame the kid for that. Like, I don't know how we have all these evidence and a man had so much promise and so much great going in his future. You hear his former quarterback LSU, Jaden Daniels, and his former teammate Brian Thomas and Malik Neighbors talk about how sad they were to see their brother go out like this and how they didn't want to leave him. They didn't want to go get drafted. They wanted to stay another year just so they can bring him with them because they knew they didn't want him out here by himself. They didn't want to leave him behind. When they went to go do their thing and wait for him to come up there with them so they can all be in the field together. And then he get portrayed as this evil person that fled the scene, caused a wreck from being ignorant, I guess you can call it, doing reckless things. And then it's not even him. It wasn't even him. What's wrong with our judicial system? What's wrong with the system where it takes this long to find the perpetrators of what happened? Everybody wants their family members to have justice, but you just push the justice on somebody else to make your job easier instead of doing the hard legwork to find the person who actually did this. Because how do you have all these witnesses and nobody sees nothing? Talk to me, what you think, man?
Man, so after like really looking at this story, I think this young man got an unfair just due. And the reason why I'm going to say that is because I'm listening and then also reading and trying to gain my own understanding of the story because I just wanted to try to line up the facts, you know what I'm saying? Because at this point, we have a 24-year-old young man who no longer has life. And they want to deem it a suicide. Then they saying it's a gunshot. We don't know if a gunshot happened before he got in the car, if a gunshot happened while he was in the car. This entire story is conflicting. There are no true conversations. There are no true facts that can support what has happened. No, to be real. And, this young man had 58 receptions, man. He had 866 yards. He was tied to lead the SEC in touchdowns. Now, the SEC is one of the leading NCAA college football conferences in our country. I mean, the University of Texas left the Big 12 conference to go to the SEC because they want the SEC bag. The SEC bag is different. So he led that conference in touchdowns. Now, he might not have been a first-round draft pick or a second round. I'm thinking he probably would have went around maybe the fourth or the fifth. That's just me. Just looking at some of his stats and also looking at how he played the game. Yeah, I probably say fourth or fifth round. He probably would have went fourth or fifth round for sure. But for him to not be offered that opportunity due to poor police practices in the state of Louisiana by a state trooper is very sad. And Zach, when you was talking about the story, I just got to looking up some more details, right? So they said, or it was reported that Mr. Lacey was driving a Dodge Charger and he was illegally passing vehicles in a no passing lane at a high rate of speed. Then it was also stated that he caused a head-on-head collision between two vehicles. It led to someone dying. They actually put the person's name in here. I'm not going to say the person, but the person was 78 years of age, and it was a male that he died. Now, what I'm trying to understand is how do we get an entire head-on-head collision incorrect? That's huge. That is huge. In this day and age where we have, as in security measures, body cams, satellites. I mean, I can log on Google right now, type in my address and zoom in and see where I'm at. So how did we, as law enforcement, get that incorrect? It doesn't make sense to me. That's my biggest issue right now, Zach, is because we have so much AI, so much data, so much technology that we have now missed a huge detail in the story. They said that this man was driving a Charger illegally passing at a high rate of speed, but we have no video evidence of him doing this. And if I'm not mistaken, Zach, just me, I could be wrong. Do we not have highway patrol cameras? Do we not have video footage where cameras are put on stoplights? Do we not have video footage where on the highways, when y'all see those poles you're passing, those lights, do they not have cameras? Even in some rural areas, they have posts put in the ground where they have cameras where they are watching as security measures. How do we miss this? Was this a dead zone? I don't believe it was. Because where did the incident happen at, Zach?
I think it happened on probably, you know how they have those highway roads, but I think it was in the town. It was in a town. It was passing the highway passing through one of those towns on a business road, probably.
But all this, I'm just trying to some in the water ain't clear with this story. Okay, that's my first issue. What happened initially, right? Then he was arrested. You know what I'm saying, on January 10th, which now he didn't work. Y'all let him play, other games, and he didn't finish the season. Now he's about to go declare himself in the draft, and boom, snatch him up. We're gonna go ahead and put you in jail. Now you're in jail. Okay. Actually, he turned himself in. Snatch him up. He turned himself in, which means he probably was instructed to. Now
he was instructed to turn himself in to be.
Yeah, he probably had legal counsel that said, "Hey man, turn yourself in, so we can get ahead of this thing." Because he had an attorney. Now his attorney was going off. In interviews with newly released videos and reports that did not show him behind the actual incident. Like you said, Zach, he was almost 100 yards behind this, which is a football field. I want you guys to be able to see this in your psychological membrane. They said he was behind the collision, but he is almost a football field behind it. That's far. That is very far away. He's almost 100 yards behind the collision, which is a football field. And on top of that, it was reported that the state trooper was having individuals give statements, but was coercing the statements. Okay. Now I'm gonna say this on the air because Zach, I did it and you heard me doing it. I tried to look up because I did some research. I want to do some research. I want to know how many LSU athletes that are considered adults, student athletes that are considered adults, are arrested each year at LSU. I asked for the sport, the race, the gender, and the probable cause for the arrest. Guess what? That data is not accessible to the public. And it also said, not only is it not accessible to the public, that the NCAA does not allow information like that to be broadcast to the public. A couple weeks ago, we had a real heated debate about HBCUs. Remember we had the debate? We had a real heated. Matter of fact, part 1 came out this week. Part 2 come out next week. But we had a heated debate about HBCUs. And remember, Shy was on there telling something, going in, because the PWI got more money, blah, 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 blah. Now that, I said, but HBCUs misappropriate their funds. And everybody got this thing called problem-solving funds. So when I think about issues like this, and I'm sitting here, we having this conversation about this young man who I'm going to say has lost his life. I'm not going to say it's a suicide because it's too much fishiness, and the water's not clear enough to me to deem this an actual suicide. We don't know if, and they saying the man was on a high-speed chase, and you gonna shoot yourself driving at a high-speed chase? Think about it. You flying down a street, a road, and you got a gun, and you gonna hold the steering wheel. You gotta hold the gun steady and be able to shoot yourself. Now, mind you, when you driving fast in a vehicle, Zach, you know this, I know this. Sometimes based off if you got good tires, great tires, bad tires, whatever your engine, if you got the road, you got to use both hands to control that thing. Or if you don't, you're gonna lose control. But back on
You're right. You're right.
They have this thing called problem solving. I want to know, this is a prime example. There was a problem, or they have problems, because like I just said, we just researched and tried to learn the data and the statistics of students, athletes that are adults, not minors, student athlete adults at university level at a PWI Division I school. And we want to know how many are arrested, the sport, the gender, the race, and the probable cause for arrest. The data report said this is not applicable to the public, and the NCAA also has something a part of it too. It says they do not report this because they have this thing called problem-solving funds. Now, I'm just going back to this just to go ahead and point out this point that, hey, sound like I was right about this. But unfortunately, this is the result of it. When you have institutions that have the finances and the support, and also have local decisions or assist with local decisions in their community, this is what they can do. Because there's no understanding to me on how there hasn't been any investigation for the state trooper department of the state of Louisiana. No investigation of the police involved or any law enforcement involved, period. It was stated he was almost a football field behind the collision. But y'all report the man hit the car and fled the scene. That don't make sense. And I guarantee, and Zach, I hate to say this, I guarantee you, another story is gonna come out where they push this one under the rug, but they going by their business. I guarantee you, because they gonna go with digging them problem-solving funds. Because this is a problem.
I'm about for like the university, talking about for like the
yeah.
No, I don't think the university, they're gonna push this because I mean he was a loved kid, you know. So to hear that happen, you have to be quiet, even though you have speculations on what might be true and what not true. You can't do nothing until it's proven in court, right? And unfortunately,
I don't know if this is gonna make it to court though, because I mean,
oh no, they've already canceled the court.
It's making a lot of noise, right?
Oh yeah, now it's making more noise now because now that video evidence we've been waiting for that lawyer was telling us about is here. You can't hide video evidence no more. I can see with my eyes how far you was, how long it took you to get to the accident when the play was happening. So it's like, yeah.
I just wanted to point that out. I just wanted to point that out though, Zeke, because we didn't had last few times we didn't had our segments. We've been going in on HB. We've been going back and forth. You and Shy are really going back and forth by HBCUs, right? And how they need to be more involved in the Black community and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And how, you know, they misappropriate their funds, blah, blah, blah. I'm not trying to change the narrative of the conversation. But when we talk about a story like this, don't that sticks out. That sticks out. This is an African-American 24-year-old young man who played wide receiver at the University of Louisiana, LSU. He had 89 receptions and had 866 yards. The boy was tied to lead the SEC for touchdowns. He was headed to the league for sure. He was draft potential. His stock was good. Now, where he was going to be drafted in the NFL draft, we don't know. I mean, that could just, he would have to go to the combine and just, you know, perform at a certain level because draft stock could have went up or could have stayed where it's at or could have went down. We don't know. He wasn't given that opportunity because he was incarcerated. Then, you know, he made bail. But it's something in the story just don't, I keep saying it, some don't sound right to me, man. Like, was the pursuit justified? Should the court held the charges? You know what I'm saying? Like, we really need to review our judicial system's processes because this young man was not only turned himself in, but there wasn't really any concrete evidence to really keep the charges at that time. He should have been charged. He should have been under investigation. In my opinion, I'm trying to think. There's something I gotta look it up though, Z. I'm gonna look it up because there's something like if you get arrested it's not like you're charged, but you're still under investigation. But we haven't formally charged you yet until we have probable cause or supportive evidence. I have to look it up. I'm gonna look it up.
But whatever, that's correct though, because you came and charged him like you was 100% true in the reports you had, and he was the one that was at fault. But it clearly shows that whoever did this report, whoever signed off on this report, are negligent of their jobs because you didn't do your job. Because how do you miss this? Unless you're going to show me a different angle of the only way you can prove that you were correct or in your situation and proving what you did and said that he was the person is you have to go back and show me a wide angle of Lacey doing donuts or something in the road, which caused the car that was incoming to go out of lane. But from the angle in the picture that y'all show and the metrics that they got from the cars and everything, it's not showing that. It's very disheartening to hear that you just go with things, you know. And if that's true, what they said about the officer leading some of the questions to make it seem some type of way, that's sick. But what can we expect, right? That's what we usually get thrown our way sometimes, unfortunately, as black men in this
That's what it's
world.
called. It's called reasonable doubt. Okay. That's what I want to look it up. You know, he could have been arrested under reasonable doubt. Or it also says you can be arrested under a sealed like indictment or charge, which means it's not direct because they don't really have the proper support to actually give you the charges. You know, that's why I say reasonable doubt or sealed. So he could have been arrested under those contents, which I don't know why he wasn't. And also it says if they arrest you under a sealed one, they don't have the right to broadcast it or give it to the public because it's not truly, they don't know if the evidence is really presented or not. And then it also says a reasonable doubt that according to the United States law, it is presumed innocent until he is heard proven guilty. So they have to provide concrete evidence beyond reasonable doubt to then say, hey, we're charging you with this, and this is, and then, you know, give you a conviction. But they have to have like beyond reasonable doubt. So that's confusing to me. Well, I ain't gonna say confusing because it's really not confusing why it was done. But I just feel like that should have been done then. Because maybe he would have had a fighting chance then. You know what I'm saying? Like, okay. Because this doesn't make sense to me. Like once the video footage comes out, he's almost a football field behind the collision. Like that's what's crazy. He's almost a football field. That is far. That's almost like, okay, the frame that's like Sha'Carri Richardson running 100-yard dash, and y'all say he
10
fled.
seconds away.
What? They would see what I'm saying? And that's somebody who, you know, like a Sha'Carri Richardson or a Noah Lyles, they are highly professional, trained track and field athletes. They can run 10 seconds and 9 seconds and 100 yards. The average person can't do that. He's a football player, so he probably can, you know, run it in about 11, 12 seconds. I mean, he got it's different muscles. You know what I'm saying? So then gonna say he fled the scene. Well, y'all didn't see him. Y'all didn't see him running. I mean, ain't nobody got no video of this man running full speed, 100 yards. No, so that's crazy to me. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't know, man. This needs to be like. It goes back to what I said. When we had that discussion about the nurse that was breaking baby bones and stuff up. It was in Virginia, Richmond, Virginia, right?
Yeah.
And y'all was saying, yeah, go get that check. I said, no. They can cut them checks. Somebody need to go down there and galvanize a group of people and go march on Capitol Hill and demand that a bill be put in place. This is the same thing. Some type of bill need to be put in place. If something like this needs to happen, an official and formal investigation, like best practices and processes need to be developed and put in place so things like this do not happen. And where is the actual person who caused the crash? We don't see no information about that.
At this moment, nah. I was about to tell you. I just saw something on not on TikTok, on X, talking about it just now, where it was talking about how, I don't know, this is the officer. They were talking about how what you said earlier, the police officer coached a man on how to implicate Tyron Lacey, even though the man/witness said that that's not what happened. It was a woman who caused it. The officer turned off their body cams before the statement was written by an unnamed person. Lacey would go on to take his own life.
Now, I'm gonna say this, Z. We had a segment, I think like last year, or maybe almost a year and a half ago. Remember, they had the man it was the police officer who came in the woman's house. She was praying. She was boiling water, something like that. He turned off his body cam and shot the woman. When we did that one, what did I say then? I said police officers and law enforcement should not have the luxury to turn on and turn off their body cams. That should be some type of federal, not state, federal legislation where body cam footage cannot be turned on or turned off by the officer.
I would say this. I feel like they
That
should
don't
be able
make
to turn it.
sense.
Hold on. I feel like it should be able to turn on and off just because you do go to the bathroom or stuff like that. But it should be like a time limit. Like you can turn it off and it'll turn off for like say 2 minute or 3 minute bathroom break. And then once you're back going, it should be on.
You
Because
know what?
I feel like if
I
you're
got you.
in
I
the
got you on
middle
the
of,
bathroom breaks. I got you on the bathroom breaks. I got you on the bathroom breaks.
but I agree. If you at a call and your camera is not on once you get to the call, so that's the problem. Your camera should be on the whole time through the call, at the call, etc. Like you should not have an ability to turn it off when you're on a call or on a traffic stop or on anything you're doing that has to be work related. Your camera should be on at all times. You should not have the ability to turn it off.
You know what? I just thought of this because you're right about the bathroom. They can have the luxury of turning on and turning off their body cam footage, right? But I still feel like it should some type of IT or satellite division for body cam footage should still have access to our body cams. And if you turn off your body cam, that you have to give probable cause as to why you did it. You know what I'm saying? Okay, I turned off my body cam. Hey, officer, why are you turning off your body cam? Oh, I'm going to the bathroom. Okay, cool. Then if you do that, they review or they conduct audits on their division as to when body cam footage went off and how and why, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. And if anything is found like, okay, hey, Alfred Dansby, you told us you was turning off your body cam to go to the bathroom, but after further review, you turned off your body cam footage about 5 miles away from a restroom stop or away from a gas station or away from a police officer or away from a police station to use the bathroom, any type of building or facilities that has a restroom. Then you turned it on 2 hours later or whatever. What was the reason for that? I think internal audits like that should take place. I mean, I'm pretty sure it can be more overarching conversation to develop some type of comprehensive plan. But I do believe it should be remote access to these body cams. Just because when things like this happen, because how many times have we heard stuff? I mean, we've heard things like this over and over and over again. They turned off the body cam. Now we don't know what took place. It's just unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. It's really unfortunate.
Absolutely, it's truly unfortunate because I do feel like Lacey would have went in the second or third round. The man had great stats, and when he came to LSU for those 2 years, his first year being the guy, the man balled out and he was tied for the lead in touchdowns. So it was a career that never got to flourish in the NFL or had a chance to, because if you take over his stats from when he was at Louisiana Lafayette and his stats at LSU, the man had 163 yards, 2,360 yards on 163 receptions for 27 touchdowns. Boy, you was balling. You lost opportunity because people wanted to paint you as this person, and unfortunately, he couldn't handle it. And
he did though. You know what I'm saying? Like I don't know. That's why I really wanted them stats. And I'm really mad about that. That they didn't provide us with those statistics surrounding how many student athletes are arrested and the race in the sport and et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. But a part of me feels like you don't want to provide it because you don't want to be held accountable because of the picture in which is going to be painted of you. Now, me and you are both former student collegiate athletes. Both of us are former student collegiate athletes. And from personal lived experience, that's what I'm going to say. Personal lived experience. We both know who campus security monitors the most. We both know. And when I say campus security, a lot of these universities have actual university police. This ain't just like top flight security like on Friday. They have actual police on campus, and you have an actual jail like facility on campus as well. They can arrest you on campus. You're put in like a little holding cell. Then the actual local law enforcement will then come pick you up. So I mean, I'm only speaking from a place of a place of lived experience.
Yeah, experience.
So I we both have some lived experience surrounding this. So we kind of got maybe a biased opinion. That's why I really wanted to have some data to be given to us and some support, because it doesn't make sense. This is a constant thing that happens over and over again, and we are not. Just like accountability is just something that's never going to be had. And I really want some accountability to be had. I'm not going to tell no personal story, but I'm just saying we have lived experience before. Now, sometimes I will say we just act the fool, but you in college, you're supposed to act the fool. You're supposed to, do some wild things, because that's a part of the development process to you to become the man or woman you're going to be long term. But I do feel like this was wrong, and I'm gonna come out and say this, and Zach, you can correct me if I'm wrong. A lot of times at a university, especially at a big university, if you're a big athlete and you have a big name and you're really good at your sport, a certain demographic of people does not always like you. They would do their best and they damnness at times to make you look a certain way, because they wish that the individual who is receiving all this praise and all these accolades was the same ethnicity as them. And I'm only speaking from a place, once again, a lived experience.
I would say that depending on the person, but I feel like more so when it comes to football or sometimes basketball, baseball, when it comes to sports, I feel like if you're good and you're really good, we get more biased treatment where you don't get in much trouble. Like, you can be in trouble. All right, we're gonna sweep this under the rug. Make sure you stay out of trouble next time type situations. You know what I mean? Like, there's been instances where me and you have done some things, and like you say that situations where we have people in our corner to say, I ain't got to worry about this. We're gonna handle this for them and stuff like that. It just depends on the person. That people that are like that are really biased for that situation. You know what I mean? They're biased to the sense that they're racially biased. And I think more so when it comes to especially football, I would say, or just being a great athlete in general, more so I would say, actually, you do have that biased treatment where they treat you a little better and give you more leeway and give you a lot longer rope to hang yourself from than if you're just a regular person sometimes, in my opinion.
Now, I'm going to say this, because do you remember when I got into it with campus security way back when? But that was me and you. We was at the same school that time. I got into it with campus security way back when. I think it was like freshman year. Yeah, I think it was freshman. So I got into it with campus security freshman year. We had a whole meeting with the chief that was on campus. That man told us he was not the same color as us. So he did not have the same, he was a Caucasian, older white man. He had, all of his hair was white, top of his head. That man told us at a round table, and he said to me that the Proud Boys and the Aryan Brotherhood was going to get me if I go to jail, and he hoped that happens. You remember that?
I remember the conversation we had. Well, I remember the chief. I remember the security officer, though. The security officer that we had a conversation for?
No, because
No. I'm saying I remember the chief that said that crap to us, but the security officer that we had the conversation for, the person,
he wasn't that bad.
He was cool as hell.
Yeah,
the next year, he was always checking on me, make sure I was out of trouble and keep me out of trouble. But the chief,
nah,
I say that all the way too.
Dog, I promise you, we're not lying. We were sitting in a conference room, and it had me, Zack, somebody else, our coach, the chief, and whoever was over athletics at that time. I can't remember.
That was John.
Yeah, I didn't want to say John's name. And so, so we was sitting there. They told us, because it really was me who was showing up. It really wasn't even Zack and John. It really was me. I'm gonna keep it all the way a buck with you. It really was me. And so they was telling the man was going down the line, saying what we done did, blah, 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 blah. And then he started going down the line on me, Zack, and our partner. He told our partner, "Oh, you gonna be somebody's girlfriend in jail. You gonna be holding somebody drones." This is how he talking to us. And
I'm gonna
then
call him
said,
and tell him that story too. See if he still
yeah,
remembers
yeah,
it.
yeah. And what he said. And then he told me, he said, "Oh, you think you're the bad actor on campus? Yeah, we know you're top 5 on all your events in the nation. But guess what? When you go to jail, the Proud Brothers and the Aaron Brotherhood gonna get you. They gonna tear you up." Then he went on to Zack and said what he said to Zack. And I'm like, dude, this is supposed to be the chief of police. You supposed to be the chief. You supposed to be trying to like guide us down the right path. But you telling us he gonna be holding somebody draws. I'm gonna get murdered by the Aaron Brotherhood of the Proud Boys, and the same thing gonna happen to Zack. What? Then check this out, Zack. When I go to the university, because you remember I went off to AZ. I went to GC. Well, I went to y'all can look it up to see what school I went to at a university. So I went to university. I used to get it. I got into it with the volleyball team because they made some racial slurs to us, to the track team. Mind you, they all was Caucasian tall white men. So we had like this intramural sports game that they had all the sports playing. Like it was like they was trying to build some culture, like on campus culture with all the sports. So we was playing this intramural game. We were playing dodgeball. You know, dodgeball can be fun, but it get intense. So we in there throwing balls, blah, 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 blah. You know, we in there doing the track team. You know, most of the time the track team is the most athletic team anyway, because you got different individuals who have played multiple sports that are really good, but they just like track more. You know, so you got long jumpers in there who cold in basketball. You got long distance individuals who are really good in soccer. So everybody got really good feet work, or they just really, you know, agile and flexible and got good calisthenics. So we in there killing everybody in volleyball.
And fast as hell, so you can't outrun us.
Exactly. So we in there killing everybody in volleyball, fam. So we go against the volleyball team. They start calling us all type of racial slurs, bro. I'm talking about hard ER, monkeys, gaboons, porch brats. This how they talking. And so I'm from Texas. I'm like, hey man, chill with all that, you know, like talking like this. That's disrespectful, man. Like, don't. Ain't nobody calling y'all saltines and nothing like that. So don't. Come on, bro, chill. And so he come back and say to me, shut the F up. You blase, 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 ER, hard ER. Man, you already know how I am, Zack. I slapped him. Bro, I promise you.
This at the other school?
Yes, this is when I went to the university in Arizona. I'm not lying to you. I promise you.
I'm about to say, ain't nobody at our school said
Hey,
that shit.
bro,
I'm trying to figure out who said this.
I done slapped them, right? Now everybody didn't try to grab me. I done took my hoodie off, my beanie still on. I'm ready to squab. And so I get in trouble with on-campus security, the on-campus police, because I guess of, you know, my response to what was said. But I said, nah, man, they was calling us racial slurs, bro. That's a hate crime. And these are the words I'm using when I said that. I said, nah, man, they was calling all these people NRs, monkeys, porch brats. I said, man, nah, bro, that's a hate crime. You cannot speak to people like that in this country. That's a hate crime. I promise you. If it wasn't for my coach being who he was, I ain't gonna say his name, but he coached the Carl Lewis them gold medal 4x1. If it wasn't for him being who I was, I promise you, bro, they would have wrote me off. He actually drove up there and said, hey, in the head coach and the sprint coach drove up there and said, hey, we not gonna allow this to happen because this was said, and we're gonna advise him how to report this for this to go out in the media. Oh, they dropped it. Okay, he can be left alone. But I was already known on campus though, Z, for, you know, being a really good athlete. But I felt like I was a good athlete. Now y'all was trying to make like an example out of me type because of my response to how that went down. So I just feel like sometimes in these situations like this, if you're a really good athlete, it just depends, you know, like you said, it does depend. But a lot of times they want to make an example of, oh yeah, you a good athlete, but we can show a weakness in your armor, or we can put mud on your name. We don't care, because they wish that the other demographic was as good as you. I don't know why that's the case though. But those are two actual lived experience stories as a student athlete.
Yeah, I get you on that part too, because my story as an athlete, I know me and my homeboys got in a situation. We was wild at a party, and we leaving the party because, you know, we about to go home, go handle our stuff with people we hanging out with. Got pulled over. 12, let us go. I was like, shh, thank you. I'm going straight to the house. Got pulled over a second time that night. I said, let us go again. But this time they said, hey, y'all need to have somebody come pick y'all up. Y'all can't drive no more. I said, thankfully my homeboy had somebody to come pick us up. We was able to get up out of there. So like it sometimes it do be cool and helpful and beneficial sometimes, but then sometimes they really do be like trying to bring you down a level. They feel like you got too much power, you got too much good going for you. Let me show you who I really think you is sometimes. Now I will say that.
Nah, that's real what you just said. They feel like it's a power trip. Like, you too big for yourself. But that wasn't my last incident. I had one more incident, but the last incident I did, that was just me being the damn fool. All this showing out that day. But then I chilled out after that though, low key, because I was like, man, and so y'all, the one who listening, to our audience, we're just telling these live experience stories just to provide as to we can relate to Lacey's situation, because it's been plenty of times where things have taken place and things have now been written or reported out of context that truly didn't happen. And now we're sitting here being threatened, our livelihood, our manhood, and our freedom, just because, we're being young men, or we're in college. So we're supposed to, act out a little bit, make mistakes, and we're athletes. So we having fun. We going to parties, we traveling all the time. We got schoolwork, we going to different states, different cities. We really enjoying life, because that's the life of a student athlete. And so I think at times that we're also given an unfair just due because of our ethnicity and the color of our skin by Caucasian or white law enforcement, or just individuals who have governship over, whatever it may be that could be for that population. And we're just not given a fair just due, and it's unfortunate at times. So that's why I'm giving that context, Z, because I feel like with this young man, I can relate to him in so many words, because even like the last that situation where we was at WTC, and all that went down the way it went down, and I was kicked out. I was kicked off the track team. I was told I can't come back to the school next year. I was down and out. All I knew how to be as an athlete. That's all I've been doing most of my life. So I was like, well, what's next? And so when you given, repercussions like that, and all the evidence really ain't concrete or true, you get depressed, you get down and out. Now you really could be going at odds with your family, because they coming down on you really hard. They telling you, oh, you should have thought about this more. You should have made better decisions. You like, man, no, it wasn't even like that. Like, this what really happened, and blah 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 blah. But now you got reports saying this, and now you got a lawyer involved. Now y'all going back and forth, and money being spent, and it just gets stressful for the whole situation. Everybody involved, and tempers flare at times. And so I just know I can relate to him, and I really feel bad for this. I hate that the police officer, whoever was the governorship or had governorship over the situation, handled it the way in which they did. That was a piss poor way in which you handled it. And now we have a life gone, and also an opportunity that somebody had to make their life better for their people, for their cousins, their mom, their dad, their siblings, better, robbed, man, because of white supremacy, man, or just racial condemnation. It's out of pocket, man. I done seen it firsthand. We done seen it firsthand. So we keep saying every time we record, see, I'm gonna keep saying, and we have heated debates when we get on this. What can we do as a demographic of people, man, to push the narrative forward? What can we do? Because it is our athletes, it is our kids, it is our young men, our young women, our children that are continuously being the casualties in this psychological and spiritual warfare environment, man. And this is another casualty that we ain't gonna be able to get back. You don't hear stories like this a lot of the times with white and Caucasian athletes. Not to say it doesn't happen, but we don't hear it as often. We hear these stories often about Black, Hispanic, really Black though, athletes, man. Somebody then somebody say, oh, or some type of race, some type of sexual allegation comes out. You know what I'm saying? On some of these athletes, man. And sometimes it don't be true. Now they down the road. Remember the player, the athlete in Baylor a few years back had them rape allegations against him. Man, he was supposed to be a a first round draft pick, wasn't he? Man, then come
Yeah.
out years later, it wasn't even true. Years later, wasn't even true, bro. Like that's like man, he's not even in the NFL. He was supposed to be a first rounder. That boy was a monster on defense. That's just sad, man. We didn't seen it too many times and we didn't live it, so it's just sad.
I will say the only reason we hear about it more from being African American athletes is because we are the athletes for the majority of all the events. There's probably only two, maybe 2 to 3 events or sports that we're not dominating in. Shit, we've dominated. There's been some tokens in there that came in there and dominated those too, you know? So I think with our sports being football, which has the most athletes on the teams, basketball and everything, and baseball and stuff, we hear about ourselves because we are the majority of it sometimes, you know? That's why we hear so much about ourselves instead of the other. Yeah, man, we gonna wrap this up on that part right there, man. We hope y'all took some insight from that. We hope y'all learned something from that. We hope y'all got to see a glimpse in how the tragic, unnecessary death of a person was. And hopefully we can start to all come together and build on some reforms and some things to help push this narrative of not having just being judged so fast and having people look at you in the light of you're so evil and wrong when you was actually innocent the whole time, you know. We're gonna pray for Kyron Lace's family. I know it's a great thing to hear, but it's a horrible thing to hear because your son could still be here. But rest in peace to Kyron Lacey and just peace, man. Go ahead and end this out, LP.
Yeah. Prayers to the Kyron Lacey family for sure. Definitely praying for y'all. Just know that you are in the Gemstones members' hearts due to having so much association and lived experience with this situation. God bless you guys. And I just ask that God sends a healing angel to assist you in this time and to assist you and to support you in how to overcome this. And the Bible says, you know, for those who are called, all things work for the good, for those who are called for his purpose. And I just ask that this work out in your good and in your favor in Jesus' name. So we're going to close this thing out, man. We appreciate you guys. Continue to support the GemStone Podcast family. You can find us on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Anchor, YouTube now, Pandora Podcast. You can also email us, man. We got to get to our fan mail. You can also email us at gemstonepodcast@gmail.com. That is gemstonepodcast@gmail.com. Remember to like and share this with your friends and family and loved ones. And remember, man, we really appreciate you guys and we love you guys. And we can't wait to rock out with you guys. But until next time, peace out.